Shemai, croeso, hello and welcome to a brand new season of the Bluebirds Nest. Episode 60, and what a way to start back as we welcome two Haverfordwest County legends onto the podcast. They're both former players and both have spent time in the dugout as management of the club, particularly the man, as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, who was manager of the club during a really exciting era that I'm sure we're going to go on and discuss during this episode. But as you can see, I'm, of course, talking about Deryn Brace and Tim Hicks. Gentlemen, welcome to the Bluebirds Nest.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for having us. Hi, Tim.
All right. Yeah, right there. Thanks for having us, Ryan.
Yeah, gents, thanks for joining us. It's going to be a season ahead now that's full of celebrations due to anniversaries coming up. But one that has sort of gone under the radar a little bit this summer, it's 20 years since the club's first venture into European football. We qualified for the UEFA Cup, what it was known as back then. I think finishing third in the League of Wales, as it was also called. Deryn, I'm going to come to you first, Deryn. Pembrokeshire born, you know, you've got a fantastic CV, playing at a really good level, Norwich and Wrexham in particular on there, before you returned to the top tier of Welsh football. And I think at just 27, took the reins at the Meadow, the youngest manager of the league at the time as well, I think the facts show. So it sounds like you took to it like a duck to water too. I think your second season in charge, 2003, 2004, finishing third, as I said, gaining qualification to the UEFA Cup. But when you reflect 2 decades on now, what moments or matches stood out for you during the league season?
During that second memorable season, the first one, I'm glad you're not talking about the first one because it was a roller coaster, mixed emotions and many mistakes. But obviously, you've got to learn quick in this game. And myself and the squad did. I was very fortunate. I had a good kind of backroom staff in terms of Mike Lewis, Mickey Ellis. John Roberts was with us as well, and obviously with the youth teams coming through, we had the late Derek Roberts and obviously Ronnie Bainan. So we had a really good team working together, and obviously the second season, the game, every game is a key game, but I suppose those that stick out. I think obviously beating Rill, second game of the season, we were the only team to beat them. Then obviously we beat Bangor at home, which was a really big game. Tim scored an absolute belter, and I think that was a turning point for probably some of the players there to realise, because we'd gone to Bangor a few weeks earlier and had a real ding-dong tussle. And I think sides realised then that we weren't going to be bullied. You know, kind of, we could play, we could dog it out as well. You know, so we had a real mixture. So yeah, we played TNS at home. It was I dropped myself at that game actually. And we put in a real solid performance against TNS. Darren Ryan, cool as you like, slotted in the winning penalty. So get games like that where you're up against the teams that you're challenging were kind of really memorable. But I think the one that stood out for me was probably Aberystwyth at home, mid-November. We'd started well, you know, kind of we'd become this hard team to beat, and we kind of we kind of just outplay teams. We keep the ball, you know, kind of we were comfortable with it, you know, kind of. So the scorelines don't suggest possibly how dominant we were. But you know, kind of if keep ball was anything to do with it, then we'd probably win games 5-6-0, because obviously teams just couldn't get the ball off us. So yeah, Aberystwyth home. It was a Friday night game, big crowd. because we'd done all right. And the atmosphere that night, which seemed to be for most midweek games or night games, was really electric. And there was something special going on. And I can remember sitting in the dressing room and everybody was bouncing. And I just thought to myself, we've turned up here. And we went out there and we put in a really dominant performance. We won the game 3-1. The only blight on it was the injury to Chris Miller. Obviously, he had a really serious cruciate injury that kept him out for the rest of the season, and that was the only blight on the performance. But it was the game. I can remember sitting down afterwards and thinking to myself, "Wow, we could be in for something here. If I can get these players to believe, in what we're doing." And trust in one another, which we were starting to. And it is hard because I was inexperienced. I did have standards, and I was quite, kind of short in telling people at times, kind of don't drop to, below my standards. But it was only because I wanted those players to probably reach their potential. I could see it in them. I knew it was there, and I just wanted them to come out. And I wanted, it wasn't about me. I'd kind of done what I needed to do. I was on borrowed time a little bit. My ankle was gone. I was still mobile, but I could kind of kind of point people in the right direction and stuff. But I wanted the club to have respect. I wanted the players to gain their respect because I knew they were good enough. So I was harsh on them, especially the locals, because I wanted the locals to be really, really proud. I wanted them to command their places, and I wanted the county to talk about those players. They talk, and rightly so. They talk about the great Hakin teams, the great Goodwick teams, the Merlin Bridge, kind of, and I've missed Moncton, kind of, who were all top teams. And you go, I go to football games in Pembrokeshire, and they talk about these teams, and I wanted these players to be talked about in the same manner, with kind of, because I wanted them to be looked up to. I wanted those players to be where this current crop of players that I was choosing to, kind of to be.
Fantastic. You say there you were, keeping the standards and keeping them strict regime. There's been a bit of a myth that I've been told for many years, and I'm just going to come out and ask you whether there's any truth in it. You had a deal with the players, supposedly, that if they won on a Saturday, they didn't have to train in the week. Any truth in that?
I think it sounds better than what it was. I think we had a happy mixture, because obviously it is tough. When you're traveling all over Wales, we know that the roads aren't the greatest. So obviously it was finding that blend of getting everybody together for training and everybody together for matches, also to have a family life, and also because obviously it was important because they were all young players. They needed a social side to life as well. So obviously there needed to be that blend. And I think what we did, we worked really, really tough in pre-season. Mike Lewis, Mickey Ellis did wonders in pre-season. Again, I'm probably a little bit old school, but we were 20 years ago, so we were living then, and pre-season was tough. Lots of games, and our fitness was. I would back us to have been the fittest team in the league. And I think when you look at when we scored probably the majority of or nearly half of our goals that we scored that season were in the last 30 minutes of games. It was phenomenal. We battered teams into submission, and then we kind of just take the rewards. So yeah. Again, I trusted the players to look after themselves, and they did. Those players, they did. They ran through brick walls for me, you know, kind of as I would for them. So yeah, there was a trust on the part that I think because things were going well, that you know, kind of they wanted to better themselves, so they looked after themselves. So yeah, we could miss training a little bit, and I think what it gave, it made us miss each other. So then when we turned up for Saturdays, we were so glad to see each other. There was an even bigger bond.
Yeah.
So I think it worked in our favour. I'm not saying it works for everybody, and I'm not saying that, you know, kind of it can be done certainly in today's day, you know, but it worked for us.
Yeah, I think for that particular group of players that you had, I mean, it just worked so well. And as you said, it wasn't all the time, but when we came off the back of big wins, beating big teams that we weren't expected to, and it became a bit of a thing. Right, boys, you can have the week off, and the change room would just explode even more then. And like, you know, it was said in the sense you can have the week off. We were only training once a week anyway, so it was, and you know, we had a big contingent. We had a big contingent coming down from Cardiff, so we had car schools there. Myself, I was in Swansea, so we had a car school from Swansea. So you know, but Deryn's right. We did, when we weren't training together, when we weren't together, we did miss it, because meeting up with the boys in that car journey, coming down, everyone anticipating the games that we were playing, because we knew we were on something. It was just a fantastic season, and it was just something that we went with. And obviously, as Deryn said, we did train hard, and we all looked after ourselves away from the pitch as well. Because we didn't, then that would have told within our results. But yeah, that was something. It was good. It was good management. It was great for us, and we didn't take the mick with it either.
No,
so it worked well. It really worked well for the group of players that were there at the time.
Definitely, and we had a good group of players.
I was going to come on to players now. I'll come to you for this. Mickey's come on in the past and said, I think the success that year was built on a solid defence. You know, very, very few goals conceded. And like you're saying there, goals scored late on in games. You were predominantly up the other end scoring them, I think, through the stories. But that dressing room, you look back at the squad from that era, it's just full of absolute characters who are, a lot of them still involved in the game these days. You know, Lee Kendall, Wolvesy, Dean Rossiter, Barnhouse, I recognise, Lee Hudgell, obviously. What was the dressing room like that season for you, Ted?
Well, I think I was 21 then, and I just signed that season from Carmarthen. So met in Milton with Mickey and Deryn in the house, and then I agreed obviously to join Haverfordwest, because I hadn't been getting as much game time at Carmarthen with Tommy there. So anyway, it came across, and it was just a season for me that was just perfect. It was, without a shadow of a doubt, the best season that I ever had as a footballer, or like in terms of enjoyment and just going into the unknown and being surrounded by a group of players who I was able to learn from, and also just enjoy the experience of being around with, because we had such a group of, we did have experienced players who played league football, and then we also had a mix of local boys in with then a couple of more senior Welsh Premier players who had been established, like Dai Barnhouse, Sumo. So it was just such a good mix, and it was like, I guess, like a crazy gang feel to the dressing room. There was like A.D. Harris, Lee Kendall, absolutely just both of them in that season, which was great. They were just nuts. Like that game that Deryn spoke about in terms of the Aberystwyth, and that was one of the games I was thinking of. We were turning up to games. I remember we turned up to that game that night knowing that we'd already won as a group. So we were going onto the football pitch, and there was no fear. I knew as a young lad going onto the pitch, I know I scored one goal that night, but I don't know if I scored two. I can't remember. But we just knowing that you were just going on there and you were going to win. And we came off the pitch, and I think there was like jugs of water on the table that they bring in at half time. And the amount of times this happened, I don't know, they must have just had a bill for jugs by the end of it, because they'd come in, Ken would be smashing the table, Aidy would be coming in, nuts shirt off, they'd be bouncing balls, the jugs were smashed on the floor, the light had gone, it was just carnage. And it was just hilarious, but at the same time, we had such a good bond. There was so many things that had happened that season. You know, we'd play on a Friday night, and we'd all make sure, because we were going back, the ones that were living away, we have so many nights in Swansea or up to Cardiff on a Friday night. We'd all be up there together. On a Saturday after a game, we'd be team night out. And it wasn't a case you couldn't make it. Everyone wanted to be there because they were afraid of missing out. So like the characters, wow, there were so many. You had Sensible with like the super sensible, like Rhys Griffiths, super sensible, trying to just in the background, making sure no one's stepping out of line or getting in trouble.
So focused,
totally, really focused. And then you had the complete other extreme of that, where you had AD Harris just talking about his dog Chisel and telling about his dog for the whole season. It was just, it was a great experience to be involved with. And I think for me, like, it was a bit of a 2-part season, because you talk about I scored goals up to Christmas. I think I was on 8 goals up to Christmas, and I didn't score another goal until we played Carmarthen Town. I think 4th from last game. It was a Easter Monday.
Last minute.
And I came on Carmarthen Town. I came on at home, and I think Tony Pennock was in goal, and the ball dropped away. And I think it must have been the last 5 minutes of the game. Half volley,
last kick of the game.
Yeah, last kick. It might have been last kick, and I think we needed to win. And flew off my foot, in it went, and it was bank holiday. I remember going out after that, and then that set us up then for the last 3 games. I think we were quite comfortable after that, because it was a bit of nerves coming in. So I had a great start to the season. I was on sort of like a crest of a wave, really, with the team and the people around me, and possibly maybe as I was young, I started feeling the pressure a little bit after Christmas, knowing what we were then aiming for. And actually Deryn rang me and said, I'm going to take you out for the time being, and you're going to be on the bench. He let me know, and Rhys was starting, and it was a case of coming on and doing what I could do then when I came on in games. I mean, you knew what you get out of me. I was a runner. I could give me absolute all, which was pretty much the team ethos, and it worked for us. I was disappointed not to go on more and score more. I mean, really, I probably should have scored double what I scored. Maybe Deryn will probably tell you more, but we had such a good defense. We had such a good, solid defense, and best keeper in the league that 1-0, the scoring game, staying in games and winning them was
we knew
our
we
thing, really.
One.
And Rhys actually, we both Rhys scored 9 goals and I scored 9 goals that season. So the 2 strikers in the club, we scored 18 goals between us, and obviously then Rhys went on to massive things.
Sorry,
goal scoring wise, and obviously, it was great for him.
You were our best defenders as well, because that's the way we work. We work with a high press. You did a lot of unselfish work. I mean, we did play a lot of our stuff. I mean, it was fortunate for us because obviously we tended only to play in one half. Which was the opposition's half, because kind of our best defenders were our strikers, and also at the same time it was probably a little bit of my fault. We did have a small squad, and we lost Chrissy Miller early. We lost Lee John early because obviously he went on to Merthyr. So there was probably a lot more pressure on Rhys and Tim. I couldn't rotate as much as what I would have liked. And we were fortunate. We had players that were adaptable, which is what you need in kind of the league as it was then with the squads that we had. We needed players to be able to play in different positions, and I must admit, I never had a problem asking their they certainly didn't tell me at the time anyway. If I asked a player to play in a different position, give them a reason why it was. They could see it anyway. It was obvious, and they'd still get on with the job and do it as best as they possibly could, which is all I could ask for.
Fantastic. I love that. You mentioned Rhys there and his goals. I'm sure I saw an interview with him once, and I think he said he got the goal that got the win. I think it was a 1-0 win. I'm not sure. Carnarvon was it? Got the club into Europe. Well, Carnarvon away.
Carnarvon away, last game of the season.
That must have been some trip home then.
I think we had a night.
They made it home.
I'm sure we had a team night out in Chester, and we stayed up there after that. We went straight across to Chester, stayed in a hotel, and had a night out in Chester. I mean, we talk about characters. We had Eston Chiverton playing for us as well, and that was just, he was a man mountain at the back when he played for us.
He did a lot for the club and the side. In all fairness to Eston, he was a colossal, kind of, and it's very difficult. 'Cause, I mean, people look at, Wolsey. But I felt at the time he was the best left-sided player in the league. I thought he was phenomenal. We had Lee Hudgell coming through, that we knew was going to be just absolutely, unplayable. Yeah. It takes a little bit of time. I can remember during pre-season, I think I signed obviously Hicksy. We signed Lee John, Wyn Thomas, and Deryn Ryan. And I always, it goes without saying what Tim's done. Obviously, Lee John wasn't with us long, but when he was with us, he was absolutely superb. Electric. Offered us something different. Wyn Thomas. What can you say? He's just a born competitor. Just a total winner. And I could not believe that. With where we were, just got away from relegation. We were favourites for relegation, and here we were signing a player of Wyn's caliber. But I think he bought into what we were trying to do. And then we come with Deryn, who I can remember watching him towards the end of the season. I don't think Deryn would mind me saying this. I watched him play for Carmarthen towards the end of the season before. And Carmarthen going through a little bit of an indifferent time. Like us in the first season, it was yo-yoing a little bit. And I kind of thought, pure quality. We all know what Darren's about, and the style didn't quite suit them. And I can remember talking to Colin Loss about Deryn the following season. And I told him to come along, and what a signing! Just absolutely breathtaking. He was absolutely awesome. Probably got to go down as one of, if not my best signing, and I don't say that lightly, because all the boys were absolutely magnificent, but he was just pure quality. He knew when to do stuff, and it made my job easier, because obviously I was trying to play and obviously coach and manage, when you've got players like that who kind of decided to take on that mantle, it made my life easier, but you can talk, Wyn Thomas had a lot of plaudits, and rightly so. The goals he scored, the way he played. Lee Kendall, Tim's already stuck on it, best goalkeeper in there in the league. I felt I had a front two that were dominant in the likes of Reece and Tim, whoever else was there. We had AD Harris, who everybody hated to play against. People, you wanted people on the ball. You'd look at people like Sully. You wanted people, like Deryn Ryan, who, because obviously when you needed something, you knew that they were the players to deliver. Lee Hudgell, no one wanted to mark him. But the one player I think was probably an unsung hero was Rob Jones. Absolute beast of a player, and I don't think he gets the credit that he probably deserves. And unfortunately, he had a little bit of an injury, and then obviously his business took off. But what a player! What a player! But then they all win. We all had points to prove a little bit. To ourselves, which was good. Like you're saying, we were favourites for relegation. We had a big celebration. I think it was early December. We beat Barry at Barry, which took us over the 30-point mark, which kind of meant that we weren't going to get relegated. So we had a big celebration by December. Every point after that, we all kind of said every week, every point is now a bonus, and it got us into third place.
Incredible. We come on to that then. So you're going into that period, it's similar to the issues that we've got nowadays, still prevalent across the league. The club had to play elsewhere. So Ninian Park, the destination, the opportunity for fans to come up from the west and head to Cardiff. A massive thanks at this point to long-time super fan, I'll call him, Barry Webb. He handed me a VHS tape a few weeks back of that game up in Cardiff. I've had it converted, and on Thursday evening this week on our club's YouTube channel, that game will be broadcast in its entirety. Spoiler alert, the away team do pinch a 1-0 first leg victory. Very late goal. Hixie, I'm coming to you for this. I know you can pronounce it. I'm not even going to attempt the name.
What? I don't even go. Not a hope.
Deryn, can you pronounce it? Can you remember?
FH. Go for that.
Something like that, yeah.
They're,
Embarrassed myself saying it.
They were European adventure, long-time campaigners, I think. A lot of strength in their team. I think a couple of internationals. But as a player on the night then, you started in Cardiff on that 1-0 loss. How were you feeling walking out into probably a couple of thousand there, Ninian?
It's a long time ago. So I've been thinking about this, and I've got vivid memories. So I'm really looking forward to watching the game back because I'm sure it'll bring a floodload more of memories back to me. But in terms of preparation for the game, it's like it was in the middle of the summer for us, as they still are now, and we knew that they were mid-season. So it was just that fitness really. We'd finished season, kept on training through, if I remember. Well, we had a little bit of time off, but I can't remember what pre-season games that we played in the run-up to that. It was probably not many, if any. And so you were just basically playing on adrenaline the first 20 minutes. There was excitement because of everybody around Pembrokeshire were talking about the game. I was living back home then. It was the summer holidays. So I was a student, so I was back. And it was just the anticipation because, like, who would have thought that we'd have been playing in the UEFA Cup? Who would have thought that we'd have finished third? It was unthinkable. So then when we got there, looking back, maybe I think in that first game, the occasion got the better of us. And rather than us maybe just knowing how good we had been through that season, yes, we'd have had a break, but I think that little bit of time off and then that game, I think we were overawed a little bit by them, thinking that they were better than what they were. So I think looking back, any regrets, maybe we gave them a little bit too much without knowing it, respect, shall we say. But in terms of like the game itself, I mean, I remember it was a wet night. So the pitch was superb, wet, lush. I mean, just going onto the pitch, as I said, the first 20 minutes, you're just running around on adrenaline. And then you're just trying to catch your breath after that, because you're pressing everything. That's the way that I was as a player. And I think I remember after half an hour thinking, how am I going to finish this match? And then, as a striker, being selfish, it's just about you just want to score that goal. You just want to get in the box and make sure that you're getting on the end. So you're scoring, you're scoring a goal in Europe. So the chances, from what I remember, were few and far between for us. And I think I had maybe one half shot from about 18 yards out in the second half, maybe just went past the post. But other than that, it was they had some big players, big centre halves. It was a battle. It was a battle with them because we were probably a bit more direct than we had been all season. So we were in a fight. The 11 players that are on that pitch were more than capable of being in that battle, which is probably why, with little game time and a short period of build up to that game, we were able to maybe get through it as well as we would. So we were probably quite happy with a 1-0 home defeat in a sense. Not happy, but going into the unknown, I think probably looking back, there was only maybe Deryn and Kendall maybe that I'd had European experience. Oh, sorry, Darren Ryan, but Darren Ryan couldn't play in the games because he was banned. He'd been sent off for Barrytown against Aberdeen in the Champions League, I think it was. He threw the ball at the ref at the end of the game, but you remember him telling me, and he was suspended, so he couldn't play any game. So that he was a big miss. Some of his experience on that pitch. So yeah, it was a strange one actually.
Yeah, you're going through there, and I can see so many similarities to obviously our first leg in round one last summer. Over in North Macedonia, we're 20-1 to get a result over there. It's very similar. Obviously, we had the away leg first, but we lost 1-0, and genuinely, I'll stick by this. It's probably in the top 10 nights out I've ever had. It was only the squad and the staff and everybody in a room in the hotel. It was one of the best social nights, and we'd lost, but it was almost like a moral victory, if you like. So, I'm imagining, Deryn, for you as a manager, you must have been quite proud, 1-0, you're still in the tie.
Hugely, that you know, kind of, and I think you use at the time. I mean, you look at how the Welsh clubs have done over the last couple of years. This season, you know, kind of they've done fantastically well. The record wasn't great when we got there. I think, with the exception of Barry, you know, kind of there wasn't anybody who could muster close to you know, kind of any decent scoreline. So for us, you know, kind of there was a huge. I think for me personally, I it probably just came a little bit too soon. I was shattered. And you know, kind of, because you haven't got a long turnaround. And like Tim was saying, with friendlies are virtually impossible. We were fortunate that we did manage to get a couple of friendlies. Benno at Moncton came down with a side. I think it was Newcastle End, and we managed to play as well. You know, but it was difficult to get ourselves up to that kind of speed to where the opposition were. You know, so again, what you don't want to do is be embarrassed. And the good thing with the crop of players that we had, that they would always hang in there. And even, you know, we've all had bad days. But even, you know, kind of the group we had, their bad days were, they weren't even below average, because they were so consistent. And I think that's why we kind of managed to stay in the tie, you know, kind of. And then obviously, I think, you know, we did have a better go in the second leg, you know. But you know, you use it as a little bit of a bonding situation, you know, and try and move forward as a club and as a side.
It was 2 weeks, I think, between the legs. So again, chance to sort of analyze it, I'm assuming, and, you know, get those preparations ready for traveling. You know, what was that like then? Because, you know, we've listed the characters you had in your squad. Taking all of them over to Iceland, that must have been like a bit of a school trip, I suppose, for you.
I think we flew from Stansted.
Yeah.
So it was a hell of a trip. It was longer bus journey than it was flight, I think.
Yeah.
So it just like felt forever to get there. So like, it was just the anticipation and everything like that, build up to that on the bus, and then once we were on the plane, the excitement definitely kicked in then. And arriving in Iceland, you know, being met by their escorts and taken to the hotel, it was just like, you know, everyone's dream is to become a professional footballer, and you're living that life for a very, very slim period of time. But it was like an experience that you'll never forget. And I was lucky enough to have other opportunities as well within Europe, and it's you know, to be playing semi-professional football, and just for that small amount of time, whether that week where you felt like you were, you know, doing what you always wanted to have done, being within that environment and experiencing that, it was just amazing as far as I was concerned, and I think it helped us within our performance as well over there. So yeah, the build up was, well, you know, we were better prepared, like Deryn said. We'd already played this, we knew a lot more about them. We probably weren't as frightened in the second game, and we gave it a go as well. Just unfortunate we conceded really early on after I'd scored the first goal, and I think that took the wind out of us straight away. I think if that hadn't have happened, we probably it would have possibly been a bit of a different game. But I think the doubts came in quite quickly there. But I know you'll come on to that. So yeah, in terms of that, the hotel, having all the food set up for us, the meetings, the build up to the game, sort of the pre-match in terms of analysis on them, everything done, you know, superbly well, and nothing that I'd been involved with before, like experience. So yeah, it was just great to be just soaking all of that up. And then obviously we all had our rooms then. So like my big buddy Nicky Palmer, so I roomed with Palms, and I just done his head in because he was just my scapegoat for everything. So yeah, I mean we had a cracking time over there as well. Yeah,
fantastic. I love you got memories out, but you're very humble. You dropped in there very subtly that you did get that goal. But I've tried all sorts of ways of getting my hands on the footage from the away leg. Between the three of us, we don't think actually it was even recorded. It wasn't like it is nowadays with scorio and receiving live feeds and things like that and watching online. So unsuccessful at the moment in finding it, but if anyone does have any way of getting hold of it, please do get in touch. We'd love to get our hands on that game. But yeah, the tie is obviously 1-0. Second leg, the Bluebirds leveled up. You leveled up, making it 1-0 on the night, and obviously all square in the tie. But the first ever Haverfordwest County goal scorer in Europe. That's some mantle that you still obviously got, the first ever one. So take us through it. And I know you can exaggerate now because it's unlikely we'll ever see.
There's nothing to exaggerate, honestly. I mean, it's like you said, it's a long time ago. So what I can remember from it, I think it was literally a ricochet that came back to me. And must have been about 12 yards out. And thankfully, I haven't had to think about anything, because when I had to think about something, that's when I was at my worst. So it was just like a natural instinct, striker's goal, where it's come back to me and I've just hit it straight away. It's gone into the bottom corner from what I remember.
Yeah.
And then I just remember taking off, running towards their stand with the handful of Haverfordwest fans there, one of them being Marcus.
Yeah.
And the legend that he is, even though he didn't pick me in his all-time Haverfordwest team.
You're not
so I just remember running off. We just ended up having a pylon on the halfway line somewhere. And I couldn't get my breath for about 2-3 minutes after that, because I spent so much energy in just the euphoria of that moment. I thought, right, we're back in a 1-1 away goal. I thought, because like I said to you, we were doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it literally must have been within a minute. I can't remember a minute, and it was an own goal. And win at the own goal. I can't remember how it came about. But it's sort of, I do remember just being really deflated after that. And I think it knocked all of us. And yeah, it took the wind out of us straight away. And I think we got to half time then. I just remember, like, but before the game and actually half time, I mean, before the game, Deryn had us, we were foaming at the mouth walking out the dressing room. I mean, we had Ken's in the corridor for going. We lined up against them, and they just must have thought we were an absolute bunch of headbangers, because they were just screaming, foaming at the mouth, all sorts going on, and yeah, we were up for the game. There's no doubt about that. And then the second half, we still went out with the attitude that we were going to win. We got back in, we sort of reset and went through what we needed to do. And I think we actually hit the crossbar. Simon Heel had
a spell where
we had a spell. He had a thunderbolt, and it just wouldn't go in for us.
Yeah.
And then obviously the goals came then, and then we got deflated. But just one thing that's just come to me on in terms of the goal, like, because there was no TV footage or anything like that, and there was no phones or anything like that with betting companies updating scores and stuff like that. So I remember I rang home afterwards, and Dad was like, "Oh yeah, I knew you scored, because Pants had rung me after about 16 minutes." I said, "Oh, how did he know?" It came up on, Pants was watching the game on the CFAX. So it came up on BBC One on the old CFAX. I thought, "Oh, that's brilliant. How old is that? How old ago was that game? It came up on CFAX." People watching this now thinking, "What the hell is CFAX?" So it come up. But the Pants couldn't come to a away game, so that was disappointing. Really, it would have been great if he did come over, because like we had such a good season. I can't remember why. He was probably scared of flying, knowing Pants. But yeah, I always remember that as well. So yeah.
It's great to reflect on that. And obviously, a valiant effort, like I said, against a really experienced outfit. How many people were in the stands that night then? What sort of crowd did they have?
I think the stand held about 850, 900. It was, their ground's a lot different now, but there was just the one stand on the halfway line, and it was full. So I'd imagine there was the full allocation there. Yeah.
In all fairness, the Bridge Meadow probably looked. It's strange. I don't want to kind of talk out of turn here, but kind of obviously the Welsh grounds were being redeveloped. Obviously, we needed to get up to a standard, but the Icelandic side had special dispensation from their organisation to play the games at home, so they could make the revenue to be able to do up the grounds, and it was a good way of doing it, and kind of maybe that's what the Welsh clubs missed out on a little bit, because it would have been great, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, we've had some special nights at the Meadow, as kind of the side since have had as well, where
I think our last 3 games of that league campaign, we were getting over 1,000 every game. I mean, the Barrytown game, we had about 1,200 there watching that. We'd have easy done. I mean, we played Wrexham the year after in the FAW Premier Cup in the quarterfinals, I think, and we had 2,500. I think it was something like that there. So we'd had a massive crowd at Haverfordwest at the time if we'd have been able
people
to
of Pembrokeshire would have come and supported. You know, it was just unfortunate that we couldn't play it there. You know, but that was out of our hands.
Yeah. Fingers crossed one day that we have European football at the minute, though. It would be incredible.
Matter of time. Matter of time. The way the club is heading, certainly. Yeah, you know.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Actually, we've spoken about you swap shirts, I think, on the night, and that shirt is in the unofficial club museum, otherwise known as Mickey Ellis's lockup. It does, and I've said this before. It needs to be hung up in the clubhouse, I think, as a mark, you know, a tribute to, especially now as we're two decades on. But any other souvenirs or items you've got from that period?
No, like I said, we a number of us swapped shirts. So I'd given the shirt to Mickey when I came back as assistant manager with Wolsey. Or it might have been Cressa, I can't remember which one. Cressa probably first, Cressa. So I thought, that'll look nice. Probably the worst person I could have given it to, because Mickey get kit and it goes straight in his garage. So it hasn't been seen since. So yeah, other than that, I mean, I think I sent the food to you a couple of weeks ago. When we got home that weekend, there was they probably still do it. There was the non-league paper, and I always used to buy that. But they did a Welsh edition, and then so I bought the non-league paper, the Welsh edition, mainly because I was on the front cover, so going up for a header with one of the Icelandic players, and then there was a full report then in the middle of that. So that was a good thing to keep. I've kept that. And then I got to grab the programs. So it was really the shirts and just the memorabilia that came with it, the write-ups in the papers and stuff like that, like you just sort of treasure and look back on. I'll get out, and Yanto, he likes to have a look at it. You know, it's just something to look at. Their memories, like you said, they weren't TV cameras then, so you were just cherishing everything else that you had.
Fantastic. How about you, Dan?
No, mine are all in the back of the head. It's just in the memory bank. So yeah, I didn't have a shirt to swap because obviously I just had an operation. So yeah, it was just in the back of the head for me.
I got it here.
There he is.
Where is it?
Just happened to be on the kitchen table with you there, like
just happened to be there, right? Look. And then there's the usual story set back in Europe, talking about summer football for the Welsh.
Still talking.
Teams, I think TNS and Rill had played in the other 2 comps. I think Rill won the league that year, didn't they? We were the only team that beat them that season.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll come to the perhaps more present day. Say that 12 months ago, last summer. Obviously, my role, I was doing the documentary behind the scenes and doing a bit of video content for social media. But there was one, I gotta say, it was Tony Panak's idea. We were in Macedonia the night of the game. After the match, we're having some refreshments, shall we say, and he pulls me one side and said, look, we should do a video montage, you know, with family and friends. And it just escalated from there. And both of you were invited to send a video of good luck to the players. So yeah, let's remind ourselves what those look like.
It's nearly 20 years since I had the honour of managing this great club in their first adventure into Europe. Memories that will live with me forever. And as players, we long for these glamour nights. And after your first leg performance, you're giving yourself an opportunity of making history. I can't stress enough how much you've got the county on the edge of their seats. So there's only one thing left to say, and that's to wish Tony and his squad the best of luck on Thursday, and let's make history. Best of luck, lads.
I just want to say, as a local lad from Pembrokeshire, having played for the club previously, it's a club close to my heart, and how immensely proud I am of everybody and the journey that you've been on this year, and what you've achieved, and what you can go on to achieve even more. Playing in European games, it doesn't come along often, so your greatest opportunity to play in your next game is by winning Thursday night. So grasp it, go out there, give it your everything, and come off the pitch with no regrets. Good luck, lads, and I'll be up there watching.
They still give me goosebumps watching them 12 months on. They really did get the adrenaline going. As I said, the family and friends had done surprise videos as well. And by the end, I don't think there was a dry eye in the room. So for you both, you know, I say as outsiders, you're still very much part of the club and the history of the club, but watching on, you could see the videos, it still meant a lot to you, but what was it like watching, obviously, us turning the tie on its head and particularly the penalty shootout?
It probably brought home maybe what we'd achieved. You know, kind of like I said, it was the season was so long that I was a short turnaround and I was shattered, and I probably didn't appreciate what we'd achieved until this current crop and Tony's squad had achieved it, and then all of a sudden the memory bank starts going again, and you just start remembering. It was you know, and I think I can remember up at kind of Newtown. And obviously watching the game and then the penalty shootout, and obviously we all know that you know kind of that penalty shootouts are awful, but there was just a coolness, and I think with each game that had gone, obviously with the penalty situation, or obviously saving penalties and things, you just had that feeling. There was just that kind of really good feeling, you know, and obviously, you know, kind of the penalty takers themselves. I just thought they were so cool, because it's in the moment, and people, you know, until you're in that environment, you don't know what it feels like, and it's not great, and you have to try and get in that zone, and it's easy said, it's not easily done. So I take my hat off to them players, and obviously with that kind of you know, with what they did on that night in Newtown, you know, kind of we live on and gave them this brand new episode of adventures.
Definitely. What about you, Hicks? You were in Cardiff, I know, for that night.
Yeah, I watched the Newtown game first, or the playoff game, in the village, because I played cricket in Carew, and you know, we didn't know, like, Forsey, all friendly with quite a lot of the boys out Carew, and the whole club watched the penalty shootout. You know, everyone stopped chatting and everyone's there, and everyone's just willing the boys on to go, and don't even know some of the players, you know, but because it was Pembrokeshire, like Deryn spoke about earlier, the Pembrokeshire feel, and there is a connection, so there was a connect, and everyone was so, you know, everyone was cheering in the club in Carew, and a lot of people had nothing to do with Half West Football Club, but that's what it meant to the people, you know, and they were just chuffed for the people that they did, like, you know, for Forsey and for Willie. So yeah, I wasn't at that game, but yeah, I watched it, and that was just brilliant. And knowing then that they were going to be playing in Europe, it was just something that I think my message was literally, you know, the best way of getting another game is just go and win it, because when you get that taste, you want more of it, and it can be a long wait. You might never get there again. And so, yeah, like I said, I came up to the game then. I brought my boy with me, met up with, like, Wolsey was there, and met up with Pems. Palms came with me. So, and we were all excited. It was exciting going there. You know, I followed the club as they progressed through the season anyway. And that's what happens when you start winning games. People get interested. So, like, you know, as an ex-player, as one of the coaches, I've always got an eye on the results at Half West. But it made you take more notice, and I got to know more about the players. So yeah, I go into the game and being there and seeing how many people had travelled, and just even within, like, because it's I've been to so many great games at Cardiff City Stadium as a Welsh supporter. That was one of the best games that I've been to. That's including the Wales games. You know, I was there for the Wales-Ukraine game. I don't be getting carried away here, but it felt brilliant leaving that stadium that night, seeing the boys win, and just, you know, how much it meant to everybody that was there. It was great. And I looked at Yanto, you know, he was 12 and he's playing, like, in the Welsh Academy football now. And it's like, you know, if you can't become a professional footballer, the next best thing is semi-professional football, so you can play to the highest that you can, and then you get the opportunity to play in European football. You know, there's professional footballers that go through the whole career that don't get the experiences that we've had. So yeah, it was amazing. It really was. And I'm sure, no doubt, they'll be back there again one day. It could take a little bit of time, because it's such a journey to get there. And like I said, it's non-stop then through the whole of the summer. It's football. And then probably last season, then it catches up with you, and you just need a rest, because at the end of the day, you've got full-time jobs. You're training twice a week, as well as doing your own training. You're traveling all the way around the country. And and it is hard. There's a strain in your family life. There's a strain on your own work life. And so there's lots of things that are pitting the players now. And when we were playing also, you know, under pressures, and you have to go out on a Saturday then and perform and try and get your team to where you want to be. So yeah, we had that connection. I guess you understand where they've been to have got to where they've got. You know, and going back, like, you know, to what Deryn did initially during that season, have the week off, lads. Yeah. But it worked brilliantly, because it's such a draining. It's a draining time that you need that time with your family, like Deryn spoke about. So, like, in terms of management, that was brilliant. That was looking back at that. So yeah, what a great night, and it was just massive for the club, wasn't it? Yeah, it was brilliant for everyone that was there and involved.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, we're 12 months on, and still memories give me goosebumps about it, and just thinking about it and reflecting myself on those special nights. But yeah, talking of memories, I got a bit of a surprise for you both here that I've kept until last. As we've gone through, you've both very much had a part in many special occasions and successes during your time at the club. So it gives me great pleasure in announcing that the pair of you are the first of many more additions to the club's Wall of Fame in the Oggy Bridge Meadow. It's delighted to tell you both that you'll soon be featured on the refurbished Wall of Fame. So congratulations. Look forward to seeing you both officially in person inducted into that in the very near future. So yeah, welcome to the Wall of Fame, both.
Thank you very much. Didn't expect that. Really appreciate the sentiment. Thank you.
Not at all. Quite incredible. Quite incredible. I think Tim's the same. I think the journey for me has never been about me. It's been about the club. It's been about getting these players, you know, kind of recognised. So something like this is just incredible, you know.
No, very much deserved for the peer review, and like I said, hopefully the first of many this season. As I said, it's a special year for the club with an anniversary coming up, and it's the start of many more. There's a lot of very well deserving candidates to be inducted, I think, throughout the season. So yeah, come down to a game at the Meadow soon, and I think Barry Vaughan has been inducting previously, so I'm sure he's got a few words to say about you both. But before we wrap up, a little reminder: if you've not seen across the club socials, the league campaign does kick off this Sunday. We'll have a Nest live broadcast from the Essity Stadium in Flintshire, where we take on Connors Quay Nomads. Sunday, 11th of August, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. So we'll be online just before that. It's a tough start away to second place in the league last year, but we managed to get 3 points up there last season. So hopefully the boys will be rearing to go and get us off to a good start. Any fond memories of visiting the Nomads, either of you?
Not really. I mean, it would start by leaving Swansea, or if I was down Pembrokeshire at 7 o'clock in the morning with an all-day trip up there. And then back when we were playing, I'm not sure what it's too like now, but the pitch was never the greatest, and it was always windy, and yeah, it wasn't the nicest places to go back then. I don't think I scored that many goals up there either. They were always like a tough team. You know, they'd come across from all the players across from Liverpool, and you know, they were a hard team to play against always. So it was always a sort of roll your sleeves up game for us, I think, there as Harford West. I can't remember how we got on last season when we played Connors Quay up there.
We beat them. Pretty sure we beat them 1-0. We didn't have a bad record up there. In all fairness, like you say, it was always tough. You know, kind of, and they've improved even more since. You know, I mean, they're one of the top teams now. But the only thing that I would probably look for is a new road that was going up from south or at least west to north. That's the best.
Definitely. Oh, incredible. Well, we look forward to kicking the season off up against the Nomads. But guys, I can't thank you enough. I've really enjoyed this catch up and walk down memory lane, as they say, about those fantastic European nights that you went through. And look forward to seeing you inducted into that Wall of Fame at the Meadow, where your names will be featured up on the wall. I'm really keen. We'll be keeping a close eye on Yanto Hicks, one for the future, I think. Hicksy, I know you're doing your coaching at Pontedawe this year, so good luck with you and Yanto. And yeah, maybe one day he'll have a Bluebird shirt upon him.
Maybe.
Cheers, both. Thank you, and I'll catch you both soon.
Thank you, Ryan. Cheers, Dad. Bye-bye.
Tim. Good to see you.